DJ DUBL.
It's DJ DUBL right here, and today on the New Music Mix Show with me, joining me on the phone, it's none other than Kyla. Hey, honey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a crazy roller coaster ride, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, so how crazy exactly has the last month been for you?
Oh, do you know what? About a month ago, I was sat with my mummy friends drinking tea, and just doing the mummy thing. And then literally overnight, I've just become extremely busy. And I'm loving every minute.
You kind of took a hiatus from music to do the family stuff, right?
Yeah, well, it was, to be honest, it wasn't like I planned to just disappear, but I sort of, when I fell pregnant, I thought I can just perform, and then when I start showing, I can sort of disappear for a little while and come back. And I was so sick. I had high premises, so I was sick every day,
right,
24/7. It was just not nice, and it just took me out of the game. And then when you've been gone for for about a year or so, it's hard to come back.
Yeah.
So I just sort of was building up my material and just sort of hoping that there was going to be a way of getting back in and to show everybody what I've got. So this was just a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, so you mentioned to me before that during that time you had actually, I think your words were that you'd considered hanging your boots up and leaving the game entirely.
Yeah, I did. I actually got to a point where I was like, I literally must have been about a few weeks before the Drake whole thing come about. I said to DJ Palface, I was like, you know what? I think about hanging up my boots. He was like, are you nuts? I was like, yeah, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know if I can get myself back in the game.
Yeah.
I've already had a run, so it's like kind of sometimes people are a little bit like, oh, well, she's had her time, and it's hard to get people to listen. So, but yeah, I did consider it.
Yeah,
but I'm glad I didn't.
Not only that, I mean, I know from personal experience that balancing working in the music industry and being successful in music and being a parent at the same time is a very, very difficult thing to do.
It is so hard. It's so hard. And for a split second, when we actually, when Drake's team contacted us, it was a little bit like at first I was like, can I do this?
Right.
Because I don't want my little boy to suffer.
Yeah.
But also I want to continue my dreams and do the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it and I thought, you know what? If these huge artists, like Beyonce, Jay-Z, Kanye and Kim can do it, then so can I. And you know what? It's balancing well. My little boy, he's not suffering. And it's really funny because when I'm sort of in the house and he's always walking around with like a little ukulele and he's always playing and he starts singing my songs, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And he'll go, Mummy, Drake. So, it's really lovely that he's picking it up too. So yeah.
That's quite a random instrument, a ukulele.
Yeah. Well, you know what? In all fairness, I bought him a ukulele because it was a bit cheaper than buying him a proper guitar. And I didn't know, he's 2.5 and I didn't know whether he was going to continue it. So I thought, a ukulele. Yeah. And he just walks around with it. So I think it is going to be a guitar very soon,
When you first made Do You Mind, it was on a bassline track, wasn't it?
Yeah. So originally, where I come from, I come from a little town called Huntingdon, right? So I'm not even from London.
Right.
And so I'd never really heard of the underground scene, sort of. It was all sort of commercial, what you see on TV, what you hear on, radio.
Yeah.
And there was no sort of underground scene where I come from. So when I met Palface, he was like, I was like a straight R&B singer, and he was like, have you heard of this genre? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I was like, no. So he was like, well, let's write a track. It's sort of a bass line thing. So I was like, yeah, cool. And I just went with the flow, and then we done quite a few remixes. I think we must have had it in a lot of genres.
Yeah.
So we just got loads of remixes. And we weren't really concentrating on that track. We had another track called Think About You.
Right.
And I was concentrating on that one. And every now and again, people kept sort of messaging me and saying, do you mind? Big, And I was thinking they were concentrating on the bass line tracks. I was like, wow, this is going to be amazing. And then, this funky house scene, I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it going to work? Is it going to, because I was trying to imagine it in a club, but boy, I was wrong. Do you know what I mean? I was really wrong. So yeah, I just feel really lucky to sort of have a track that, that got embraced the way it did. It was amazing.
Yeah. If you think about that whole era in the UK funky genre,
Yeah.
It's probably the best, if not one of the best. But I mean, I think the best funky track, like UK funky track. Why do you think that is?
Oh, thank you.
What made it so successful?
To be honest, I just think the timing was right. I think funky, it'd been around for a little while, but I think it was still sort of bubbling. And I think they were just waiting for a track to come about that was sort of just going to sort of explode on the scene and sort of make it what it was. And I just feel like I was the lucky person that got that. And I think it was the drums in it, the bongos in it, and then I just think my vocals were quite soft on it, and I just think it all worked as a whole.
So 2016, I think it was around about a month ago, maybe a little bit more.
Yes.
I get an email, and it's some new records from Drake's new album. Okay, cool. So one of them's got Jay-Z and Kanye on there. Okay, cool. I check that out.
Yeah.
The other one's got Wizkid and Kyla. I'm like, Kyla? That can't be Kyla. Like maybe that's someone else. So yeah, I played it.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I nearly fell off my chair when I was like, Drake has sampled, like, this is incredible. Where were you when you first found out this was going to happen?
So it was about a few weeks before, maybe a week and a half to be fair. And I got an email. I was at my friend's. I was in her kitchen just sort of doing mummy talk, and I was in my kitchen and my emails just went nuts for like about 5 minutes. I was like, oh, what's this? So I checked it out, and it was all like sort of, like your publishing house companies. So I had like a PRS company, PPL, and they were all like, please can you get a hold of Alison from Sony? And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do it later. Then 5 minutes later, my father-in-law called me, and he was just like, Kyla, you need to ring these people because they've contacted me. I think it's something serious.
Right.
So I was like, yeah. And I would literally sign my life away, right? So I was like, no, I'll let Palface do it. I'll wait until I get home. And I went shopping. I really took my time. And everyone kept ringing me going, can you just deal with it? So I was like, yeah, I'll deal with it. So when Palface called them and he phoned me back and he's like, babes, he's like, it's you'll never believe who wants to sample your tracks. I was like, who? And he's like, Drake. Well, he actually was getting me to guess.
Yeah.
Which was really annoying because I just wanted to know. So then, I didn't guess right. And he said to me, Drake. And I honestly thought someone was having me on because we were so close to April Fools.
Yeah.
And by the time we like got on a conference call with them, which was literally quick, to be honest, it was like, they contacted us. We contacted Alison from Sony. She dropped our numbers to Drake's manager. He called us within half an hour of all of that happening.
Right, they're not mucking about.
And then they weren't mucking about at all. And I think I got a little bit blasé about it because you know how this scene works. Like this music world works. Some things fall through.
Yeah.
Some things go. And I always think I'm this type of person that I just get to the point where something really good's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it will be like, no, actually, we're not going to run with it. So I kind of got a little bit like, maybe it's a protective mechanism, but I was like, I'll deal with it later. Do you know what I mean? But when I realised it was Drake, I was like, Kyla, man, you should have just phoned. So yeah, we just started chatting to them. I said to Palface, I was like, let's push for a feature. And we hadn't heard the track at the time.
They just wanted to sample it, didn't they? They didn't want you to.
Yeah, they originally
wanted sampling the original. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just original sample. So we contacted Sony, which was like the sampling team. And when we had the conference call with Future Prince, he just said to me, he's like, you know what? You're heavily in the track, and Drake wouldn't mind you being a feature. How would you feel about that? So I was so elated because that's what I wanted. Yeah. And I didn't even need to ask.
Oh, so they just put it out there before you asked, yeah.
Yeah, like straight away in the meeting, they were just like, would you like to be a feature? he had a third verse, and he just wanted to keep my verse in there. Yeah. So he was like, drop the third verse, keep you in there. Do you want to be a feature? So I was like, great. And then I had to keep it quiet for a couple of days. So I was wanting to tell the world, but I mean, to be fair, I think anyone that I'd spoken to and said, I'm going to have a single out with Drake, they'd be telling me to do one. They were like, you're all right, Kyla. So, it was the longest week, but it was quick, if that makes sense. It was a quick turnaround, but it just felt like forever because I just was thinking it was just too good to be true.
Yeah, it is kind of like, that is like a fairy tale. Imagine a month ago you were just doing your thing, and now you've got a #1 record. It's been at #1.
Crazy.
I haven't even said congratulations, by the way. How bad of me. Like, it's been at #1 in the UK charts for 5 weeks.
That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They said to me a slow build as well. They were like, it's going to be a slow build. And I think we went in at like 21, and the next week it was #1. It was crazy. Yeah. And I don't think it's hit me properly. And like last night, I found out he went #1 in the Billboard charts in America. It's just the craziest time.
Wow.
And I get these odd calls. Every now and again, they're like, you just hit gold in Australia. This has happened. You've got #1 in the Netherlands. It's the most bizarrest thing ever.
Am I right in thinking the first time you heard the record, they wouldn't even send it to you, right? So they played it down the phone to you. Is that right?
They played it, so they played it down the phone because originally they were going for a track with Popcorn, Controller.
Yeah.
And it'd been leaked, and they were explaining that they're being hacked, but they didn't know who was being hacked in their team. Right. So they were just really reluctant to send the track out. So they literally had a secure line, and they played it to us over the phone. Right. And we couldn't really hear it that well, but we could hear sort of the structure of it, and it was just like exciting. So when they released it, we actually had to buy it.
Right. So you had to listen to it. You had to buy your own single.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not whinging about that because I would prefer that than it being leaked and then not running with it. Do you know what I mean? So it was like,
absolutely.
When they explained it, they were like, we're not being bad-minded. It's not anything bad. It's just that if we send this over to you and it's off of someone's laptop that's being hacked, then we've got to move on, and the project's getting longer and longer. So that was the reason behind it. So yeah.
So is there any talk of you touring with Drake when he comes over? I mean, for me, I think that would kind of be a given. Has that been discussed yet?
We haven't discussed it. To be honest, we haven't had 5 minutes to actually sit down and speak to Drake's team properly at all. The odd times they keep texting us over and emailing us just to make sure we're all right and congratulating us when things, are going, like when it goes #1 in places, they're like, congratulations, well done, keep working hard. But they're really supportive of of my team. I'm really supportive of them, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when we speak, that will be on the card.
When it comes to the business side of things, I don't want to know a specific number, but from the business side, have they paid you for like a sample, or does it benefit you the longer that it is in #1? So the more sales, do you see a return from that, or has it just been purchased as like a one-off sample?
No, they've actually looked after me really well. I don't want to really go on the ins and outs, but it is literally, I wasn't paid as a sample. I was paid, I've been given the most nicest blessing, for as much as I can say, really. I feel like, the only way I can put it is that I feel like he's handed me a winning lottery ticket, to be fair. It sounds really like I'm speaking in code, but you never know how well songs are going to do. And even when they spoke and we were talking about splits and money and all that kind of stuff, you never know whether it's going to be in the top 40. And I mean, this is Drake we're talking about, so what he touches goes to gold. But I mean, this is his first #1, so it's huge.
That's the thing. It's his first #1 in the UK, so that is really a massive deal.
Yeah, but he has looked after me really nicely. I haven't been given a one-off payment, but I have been looked after very nicely.
That's always a gamble for artists, I find, because when they're offered these kind of scenarios, it's almost like they're given a choice. Well, we can give you X amount for the sample, and that's all you're ever going to get, but it's an all right amount. Or you can take a risk and you can be paid your publishing and as a feature, and then if the song goes gold and platinum, you know, your money will grow exponentially as well. So
I mean, I feel really lucky because I didn't think they would give me any publishing and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So when we sat down and we actually spoke, you know, when we started speaking publishing, it was a little bit like, wow. And for it to go #1 and what they've done for me, you know, like I said, I can't tell you numbers and figures, but I know that I've done well. It's just a blessing.
So here's a question,
and I can't believe it.
Here's a question: if Drake had said, "We really want to use your track, but we'd like to use it for free," what would you have said?
Listen, I would have still said yes.
Yes, I love it.
Like I said, I am like the worst person to do business with. That's why I'm really blessed that I've got a team of people behind me that deal with all this.
No, I love that though, because that means that you kind of really care about the song and
you know,
a love for the music though. As cliched as that sounds, that's how it comes across.
You know, it's true. Like to me, I think when you've got children, you want to set them up and sort of give them what you haven't had. And I've had an amazing upbringing, and so I just want to give my son, you know what I didn't get, which was not much. You know, my parents have been amazing, but even more. So you know, money is a bonus in that sense for setting up my children's lives and you know all that. But to me, it has to be about the passion for music. It has to be, because else I can't do it. You know, and to me, Do You Mind is one of those. I remember when we first had the run at 2009 and it came out and it was doing so well. I remember going away and saying to Palface, I said, you know what? If I don't get anything else out of this, I've had an amazing experience. I've had a really good run. I've met some amazing people. I've travelled. You know, I've seen parts of the world. This is great. And I've always said if I got a second run, it would just be a blessing. So to me, it's amazing to have a second run, but also to have a second run on something that I was so passionate about in the first place. Is just lovely.
What's coming up next for Kyla?
Okay, so I've been getting my head down in the studio because a lot of my material that I've recorded, obviously while I've been away, has been, you know, I hate saying dated, but it is. You know, you just record and your stuff. It's there and I can still use it, but I just need to sort of update it a little bit, sort of make it a little bit more current. So I've been in the studio, got a lot of material there to sort of play with. We re-releasing Do You Mind. So we're re-releasing that. I've got a few other projects that I can't really sort of say too much until we've finalised them, but they should come around sort of around June, July time. So I mean, so I've got ample of stuff to be getting on with and to show you guys. So I want to just get my head down because I want to get it out quickly so you hear it. So yeah, that's really what I've been working on. And then doing live performance, like I was on Lethal Bizzle's show, which was amazing.
I've got a suggestion for one of your new songs.
Oh yeah, go for it.
So you mentioned that Drake had a third verse for One Dance that he didn't use. You should try and get those 16 bars off him and bung them on a Kyla track, so you've got Kyla featuring Drake.
That would be heavy. Honestly, I'd be well chuffed with that. You know what? Because obviously I'm hoping to sort of, we are going to catch up eventually. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
He's obviously still doing his, he was on Riri's tour. Rihanna's tour. So I know, and then he's obviously promoting his album. So it's been crazy. It's not been easy to sort of talk, but when he talks to me, I'm going to be hinting so many things. He's going to be like, this girl, man. This girl. I am going to be like, yo, you know what? You should jump on one of my tracks. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, Kyla, it's been an absolute pleasure. When you
Thank you.
When your solo stuff does come, I want to get you in on the show so we can sit down face to face and talk about this new music, because I'd love to hear it all as well.
I would love that, definitely. And then I can show you what I've got. But I'm dead excited for what's coming up, honestly.
Amazing.
I am the most excited I've ever been. Like, I was jumping around like a loon last night on just little bits that were coming out. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you what I've got.
Perfect. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing it, man. Good luck with everything. If I don't see you
Thank
before
you.
the Drake tour, then good luck when you do actually tour with Drake, because I know it's just down the
Thank
line.
you.
Thanks so much for calling in, Kyla.
No problem. Thank you for, speaking to me.
No problems. We'll see you real soon, right?
All right, then. Take care.
See you.
Bye.
DJ DUBL.